Jesus has been teaching. He's been telling stories to reveal what the kingdom will be like. The cost of being a student of his. Healing, blessing children. He disappoints the rich ruler when he tells him to sell everything. Meets and has dinner with Zacchaeus, who was a wee little man. Gets to Jerusalem, clears out some good-for-nothing con men, and has his authority questioned, and now this. I can see him saying, really? You're asking a question about a woman being married to 7 brothers and no children by any of them? This is what you are asking about the resurrection, which you don't believe in and could care less, but you want me to answer it just so you can catch me saying something against the law of Moses as a whole? Right? Well, guess what? Marriage is of the now. Having kids, especially boys, to carry on the name. God doesn't have marriage. Just those who follow will not die and become closer to God than any married couple. Blessed, chose, distinct, redeemed, forgiven, graced, and marked by God. Dude, God isn't God of dead guys. God is God of the living. Everybody is alive. And I'm keeping a running tab. Jesus, 100,000 to 0 religious leaders. But isn't that what we do today? We discuss about stuff which has nothing to do with following with Jesus. There are people everywhere looking for jobs. We know that. Worried if they will have shelter. And we know that. And what to do about necessary medicine either for themselves or their children. We want to know about stuff in the lives of our brothers and sisters. And just like the Sadducees of Jesus' time, we're worried about a hypothetical guy and this hypothetical wife and hypothetical brothers. And they didn't even believe in resurrection. Micah told the nation of Israel to do justice, show mercy and kindness, and walk humbly with God. And Jesus shares that we are to be his hands and feet, his heart, his compassion, following his way. Feed those who are hungry. You know, like we're doing now. We're collecting food. We got Meals on Wheels we deliver. We have super suppers coming in January, February, March. Oh, and I found the article that I had written about the least of these. It was a letter to the editor. As I was purging books, I opened something and went, oh my gosh, I forgot I read that. And the fact that my first meeting with a lot of people in the community was through the super suppers. Because I didn't want to cook. And I went, oh, cool. I don't have to go to the grocery store yet. Go eat. And met quite a few people. And we should maybe even could go a step further, and I know we talked about it, in helping to teach how to grow our own food and preserve it so families are not so dependent on the grocery store. Because there's already rumblings that it's going to go up some more. Dress the naked. And we do this by having our rummage sales, by helping people to find clothes at a lower cost. Healing the sick. Being present with anyone who is not feeling good is healing. Listening is encouraged. Listen to who you're with. Because talking is optional. Most of the time, when people are waiting for surgery or in rehab, just need to talk about it. Visit those in prison. And you know what? Prisons don't just have bars. There's also mental health prisons, sexual identity prisons, mobility issues, systems that are harmful and oppressive to our people of color, loneliness, and domestic violence. And when we serve, when we defend, when we heal, when we repair and reconcile and support, stand beside, speak up, do justice, love kindness, and really show We are serving the least at the margins. Those we call them, the outsiders, or those people. We show up. We build relationships. We work to change a system that doesn't benefit all of us. Jesus has showed us the way we're to live fully, to love deeply, to mourn loudly, fight justly without fear, cause folk who do not, will not let us make them uncomfortable. They do not want us to challenge their faith and it be marred by actually doing something for someone who would never have anything to do with in the first place. Why should we have? And I heard this in my home church when right after I joined. We were out in the fellowship hall having coffee. We had coffee hour after church. And they have, and they still have it, and they actually use it now, an industrial oven. 2 ovens, 5 grills, a flat grill, dishwasher, and I went, man, we could have a soup kitchen. And I'm just going to call them by name. And Claire said, we don't want those people in our church. Oh, okay. About 14 years ago, they got a pastor who said, we need to have a soup kitchen. Things had changed. Hearts had changed. And they serve at least 200 every week on Monday. And they have, just like our super suppers, they got 4 other churches, or 5, that work with them. And every Monday evening, my friend Carol Danaher, who is part of that congregation, posts a picture, said, here are our volunteers who served. I think this week it was 247 on their Facebook page. 247, which is so cool. And they,
That's God working.
oh yeah, they did have a problem. There was one, because they could come in and eat, and they started having to, people wanted like 1 or 2, and then it got word to them because, when people receive something out of the graciousness and love of other people's heart, they take it seriously. And then there's others who don't. And they found out that there were some selling their lunches. So, yeah. So they changed it a little bit. If you come and sit and eat, you can take one with you. And that did change. That changed that up. They came in and sat, they would eat. There was always someone that had information for them. Like when we started making the toiletry kits and stuff, they would have those things. And in the beginning, unfortunately, one pastor wanted to evangelize, and Pastor Larry said, we're not doing that. These folks are hungry first. Because remember, Jesus fed, then he taught. It's hard to listen. I hope you all had breakfast. It's hard to listen and receive when you're hungry, when you're thirsty, when you don't know where you're going to lay your head that night. Because this is what Jesus wants us to do. Because this way we are really living by faith. And that faith that serves others. And it doesn't serve ourselves. What a change can happen. Within ourselves, our faith gets stronger and deeper. Our love will be a heart-hurting compassion we cannot explain. We will not stop doing. When our bodies die, that's all it is. We're carbon-based beings. Our spirit is joining with the breath of God, the Ruach, the very same breath that God created us with. And it's closer beyond our understanding. What we did with others will carry on after us. What we do for ourselves will be forgotten. So I think I've done this with you, but we're going to do it again. I I told Joe, I said, I think we're going to have to do a breath prayer again and all. But Rob Bell has a series called Pneuma, which is Greek for spirit. And in one of the sessions, it's called Breath, one of the DVDs. And he talked about the breath of God and that the name Yahweh. And if we think about it, from the moment we are born and take our first breath, we inhale in, we speak the name of God. Yahweh. Say that with me. Breathe that with me. Yahweh. Yahweh. And when we take our last breath, we speak. Okay, you know this is going to keep happening every time I do something like that because I think of Mom, Dad, and all our others. So, okay. So now, who is ready to do some soul-searching, gut-wrenching, heart-breaking, joy-inspiring, gospel-sharing work? In the name of God. Amen.